The government taught him to kill. Now he's using his skills to get revenge. The Specialist is our film in 35 minutes after the ITV News.
Predatory and pervasive, the appalling scale and nature of Savile's sex abuse revealed. But never charged, never prosecuted. He was the monster everyone knew who hid in plain sight.
I think we were all taken in. You could say he groomed a nation.
This is the ITV News at 10 with Alistair Stewart and Natasha Kaplinsky.
The Crown prosecutor and the police apologise for years of inaction and say it is a watershed. For Savile's victims, the relief of being believed at last. Also on the programme, job shock in manufacturing as Honda sack 800 in the face of falling demand across Europe.
On the high street too, nearly 1,500 Gert Jessops. A fresh warning tonight of a shrinking economy.
2 middle-aged men stabbed to death in Birmingham city centre as rush hour crowds look on.
Syrian rebels celebrate the capture of one of President Assad's key air bases, a major blow to his regime.
And Kate says her first portrait is amazing. Others are less generous.
It's the kind of image, in fact, that you might see in a high street photographer's window.
Good evening. The hideous Jekyll and Hyde nature of Jimmy Savile's life was confirmed today in reports by the police and the NSPCC. He was a man who entertained millions of young people on television and secretly abused hundreds in private. A prolific fundraiser for hospitals, he used their premises for some of his attacks. For 50 years, men, women, young and old were at risk from him, in schools, at the BBC, even in a hospice. Perhaps the greatest tragedy revealed today. The man, now thought to be the country's worst ever sex offender, escaped prosecution simply because his victims weren't believed. Our first report is from UK editor Lucy Manning.
And that is tonight's ITV News at 10.
Coming next, the national weather and the news where you are, but from Natasha and from me, a very good night to you.
Good night. Have a lovely weekend.
We get some misty old mornings in Gisborough. Not that it stops us.
7C's multivitamin range proudly sponsors the ITV National Weather.
Hello, overnight and through tomorrow, going to have a band of rain come in from the southwest, and through much of tomorrow it'll be affecting southern parts of Wales and also central southern England, turning to sleet and snow up over the highest ground. Ahead of it there'll be a brighter strip of weather, but 1 or 2 wintry showers coming down the North Sea coast, but these will become quite few and far between during the afternoon. But as for our temperatures, a cold, chilly day all round, particularly out towards the North Sea coast. With this biting easterly breeze, temperatures here will make 3 or 4 at the very best. A bit better though out towards the west and southwest in particular. And then through Saturday night into Sunday, the rain down across the south will push back even further south, again turning to snow up over the highest ground. Also some wintry showers for the northeast of England, perhaps 5 centimetres over the high ground, and all round a chilly night.
7C's multivitamin range proudly sponsors the ITV National Weather.
Good evening, I'm Charlene White. Cuts to London's fire service are tonight being condemned as dangerous and wrong. The capital's fire brigade wants to close 12 stations, cutting 520 jobs. The fire brigade's union says the service is facing the biggest threat to its ability to function since the Second World War. Dan Hewitt reports.
Today we learned where the cuts would fall on London's frontline fire services. This fire station in Southwark may face closure under proposals that could see London lose 10% of its fire stations. Cuts are planned across the capital, but the London Fire Brigade said changes would not reduce their reaction time.
We're able to remove some of the resource that we've got, redeploy what we've got already, to make sure that, and by doing that, achieve improvements in some areas in the amount of cover that we provide. And no borough in London, which is currently inside of our targets, where we meet the 6 and 8 minutes, no borough goes outside of that target. They all still remain within that target.
The plans are to shut 12 fire stations across the capital and to cut 520 jobs. That's around 10% of all frontline firefighters. These cuts are being made to meet the £45 million worth of savings that the London Fire Brigade needs to find over the next 2 years. This fire station in Southwark first opened over 100 years ago, but under today's proposals it could face closure later this year. The idea is that other local fire services will pick up the slack. The challenge for the London Fire Brigade is to say that they can shut stations